We're coming in hot to give you our hot takes on all the latest mental health news.
From headlines and memes to developments and breakthroughs.
We go into this show blind with the hopes of learning something new.
Before sharing some bunny hugs.
And leaving with our eyes wide open. I'm Nick.
And I'm Todd. And this is Mental Health Headline Hot Takes.
We're glad you're here.
So, also, did you want to do a little thing on who goes first?
Yeah, well, I was thinking, like, what could we do for that, though?
Paper, rock, scissors. We could do
that could be fun.
Squid Games.
Could we do two? We should do rock, paper, scissors 2 out of 3. Do you think that works over Zoom? Or
I think
Riverside? So. All right, you just got to hold
let's try.
it up. Well, no,
Ready?
I don't want to I have a strategy. I don't want to give away my strategy.
What? Well, how am I supposed to know you're not just hiding and then seeing what I have?
All right, let's try it.
How do you have a strategy?
We should record. We should actually record this. This is funny.
I'm recording. Yeah,
okay,
I am
good.
recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we decided that we have to figure out a way to see who goes first with
Hello,
their story.
everybody, by the way.
Hello, everybody. We just started recording mid-conversation. But so hello, welcome to this week's episode. We're glad you're here. We were trying to figure out who should go first, and we're gonna try rock, paper, scissors. I suggested a coin toss earlier today. I don't know how that would work. Maybe we have to actually embed a coin app or something, but we'll do rock, paper, scissors today. But 2 out of 3.
But you wanted to hide your hand. I don't understand how you have a strategy in paper, rock, scissors.
Well, I just didn't want to show you what my first move would be.
Oh.
I strategize everything. Every game.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll do 2 out of 3. So now hold on. Do you do rock, paper, scissors, shoot, or rock, paper, scissor, and you go on scissor?
I like the shoot.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Ready?
I think I'm so nervous. Why am I nervous? This is so stupid.
I am too. Okay. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I can't see your hand. You're cheating.
Yeah, see,
that's both wrong.
I'm going to go up here. All right, so that was a good test. All right.
Okay.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I win.
You got 1. All right, let's go.
Okay.
2 out of 3. You win this one, you're in.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissor, shoot. Oh, there you go.
Again.
You get to go first. Pick your best
story.
Good
strategy.
I got thrown off.
Is that what that means? If you win, you go first?
Yes. Or, hey, we could do it like football, right? You can go first or defer to go
Captain's
second.
choice.
Yeah.
I think I will go first.
Let's do it.
This time. Because it's a big one. Okay, so I couldn't talk about mental health headlines and be Canadian and not talk about this because it's been in the news in Canada for a little while here. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. But in 2021, Parliament passed a bill called Bill C7, and it changed some wording in it so that so Bill C7 it's called MAID, which is medical assistance in dying. Okay. So it's like there's other words like euthanasia or medical suicide or whatever. Anyway, they call it MAID.
Yeah. Okay. Like assisted. Is it assisted suicide? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so they euthanize you basically. Okay.
Yes. So they changed the wording so that before it was if you were dying, you could apply. But now it's like if you have any disease that is basically incurable, you can apply. And in 2021, when they changed the rules, they also put something called a sunset clause for 2 years for people that have mental illnesses and want to apply for MAID.
So does that mean, just to clarify, so if they put a sunset and that means you have to want this for 2 years if you have mental illness before they'll allow you to?
So the sunset clause is like, we're thinking about it. We're kind of going to be playing with it for a couple of years. It's not law yet.
Okay.
So it's like, so over those 2 years, they did a few I don't know, trial runs, I guess, on people with mental illnesses.
Okay.
So last year they passed the bill, and they said, "Yep, hey, what? I keep getting thumbs up." Anyway, they passed a bill, and
Wait a minute. I kept getting that in my recording yesterday. You mean on the screen it like comes up like this?
Yeah, I think if you give a thumbs up to the camera or something,
there it is.
It's kind of
I see it now.
Unnecessary, if you ask me.
It popped up in the podcast I was recording last night. I had no idea what it was. Anyway.
Anyway. So last year they decided, yes, if you have a mental illness, you can apply to basically have suicide medically. And as you can guess, that's a very controversial decision.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big uproar, and they decided, fine, let's give it one more year to think about it. So that 1 year is coming up in February here in Canada, or March, I think. And I've done a couple episodes of my podcast about it. I talked with a head psychiatrist at a hospital in Toronto, Dr. Sanu Gond. He's very, very against it. Then I've also talked to people that have actually want to die or want that option. And so anyway, it's a very nuanced thing, which is very hard to do when writing laws, because it's like either there's law or there's not. It's very black and white. And
well,
there's
they
a lot
purposely
of
try to
area.
make it gray so that there's that's my point.
Yeah. So this Dr. Sanu Gond, his argument is that if you have a mental illness or mental health issues and you're looking for suicide, it's probably going to be a big attack basically on poor people, because poor people don't have money to get the services.
As everything is in this world.
Or people that live in isolated areas of the country that don't have access to services. I could go on and on about that. Some of the positives. So the person that I talked to, her name's Agata. She wants it. One of her things is her mental illness is an eating disorder and actually is affecting her physically, and eventually it's going to be the cause of her death anyway. So her argument is, physical or mental, either way, this thing's going to get me. The other thing is, so in the language of the bill, it's basically if you have something that is incurable and it's basically going to be your demise, then you can be approved. But there's no proof that mental illnesses will do that, except for maybe, like dementia, things like that.
Right. But is dementia even a mental illness? I mean, I guess it's technically your brain, but anyway.
I guess it's more of a neurological disease more than a mental disease, maybe. But and so also Agata's thing is like it's her choice. She doesn't want to do it. Suicide is very shocking. It can be very messy. It can be, and she wants to do it with dignity, with her family there and stuff. She's gone through lots of trauma, and you can listen to her story if you want, but it's pretty intense. And now, of course, in everything like this, there's two camps of politicians, lawyers, and doctors saying this is a good thing. Other one saying it's a very bad thing. They found that people that do apply and have been accepted to have medical assistance in dying for mental illness, they actually start to improve. So the thing is, they go through all the services all their life. They're trying to get help. Nothing's working. They apply for medical assistance in dying, and they start to improve. And it's it's a psychological thing that is like, it's almost like validation, or like they have this option. A lot of them don't go through with it because they just wanted, they wanted that option. The other thing the doctor is saying is instead of debating this and putting money into this, why not just have services available for everybody?
It's because they'd probably prefer to kill the poor people. Or the people that, you know what I mean? I mean, joking, tongue in cheek, kinda, but also, not really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to say because like this is a very liberal government to try to pass this bill. Very conservative government doesn't want to pass this bill. Very conservative government, though, quite often there's religious views. You look at Catholics, suicide is not an option for them.
On that, is your Constitution, like, is there any Christianity embedded in it?
I don't think so. It's not actually
because we like have a clear separation of church and state, but like yes, we have things like on our dollar bill that's like in God we trust, stuff like that. So it gives like, it's such a murky spot that it gives both sides a little bit of room to make a case,
right,
which complicates things when it's,
I know. So there's been some lawyers that are saying if this doesn't go through, because they're saying, okay, there's another year coming up here, we're supposed to make a decision. They could just say, there's three options. They could pass the bill. They could say, let's think about it some more, or they could just scrap it. And lawyers that are for are saying this is a human rights issue thing. And then there's other lawyers saying there's no legal, like this doesn't make sense legally. The government doesn't have to kill people if they don't want to. You just disappeared for a sec there. There's even different provinces have come up with their own laws. So Quebec is saying this is not an option. Even if federally it passes, we are saying no. So it's causing a real...
Do the provinces have the ability to override the federal?
Feds?
Yeah.
As far as I know, they don't, but Quebec is kind of a special
thing. They're their own little French...
Yeah,
commune or something. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but
yeah, it's not their own country. They have I can't remember what the word they use, but it's basically they're the nation of Quebec or something like that. So yeah, I'm very confused. I've had opinions, and it keeps going this way, and it keeps going this way, and I'm kind of all over the place.
What's funny is like when it comes to like what I would call euthanasia by my natural language, I've always, like, since I was a kid, and you first take like ethics classes, right, where you learn about, and I grew up Catholic, so I went to a Catholic school from 2nd grade to 8th grade and was brought up in the church, et cetera, et cetera. So it was always one of those, like, euthanasia, the death penalty, abortion, those are kind of like the key things that we focused on from like an ethics perspective. And I have also always gone back and forth, because I do feel like with an assisted suicide, it's interesting because, like, I get it. Like, if someone is in so much of a struggle and there isn't hope, I get that. But, and I've changed my mind a little bit on this, because I think that we could do better with healthcare and do better with cures than we do, because, pharma's got a clench on everything. And so, like, if there's truly no hope, right, and someone's chronically ill and it's a matter of time and they're deteriorating to the point where they can't function or they can't operate in a way or give themselves the quality of life they want, I think I'm okay with it. That being said, who's to say the day after we don't come up with a cure, or we don't have a new treatment, or we can't prolong or freeze your suffering? I don't know. Like,
are you talking physically or mentally?
Well, both.
Oh, okay.
Both.
Right. Okay.
But like, I know we want to talk more about the mentally side, but I think it's both. When it comes to mental illness, it's like what constitutes illness? I think it's like such a nuanced. Is this the one you said was going to be very nuanced? And by the way, folks, we don't talk about these ahead of time. We like show up and then talk about them. And so all I had was that the article today was nuanced, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it is nuanced and there's layers to the onion. So I guess what I think is, if someone's mentally ill in the early 1900s, 1800s, would give them a lobotomy, right? Like, they're not coming back from a lobotomy. I don't think you can come back from a lobotomy if we did one to somebody today, right? So it's kind of like
it grows back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your brain and your eye or wherever they go in for, it doesn't grow back. So from that perspective, like, what is the quality of life the person's going to have? And then who are we to determine that, or who's a doctor even to determine that? Because the greatest expert in the world, they may understand what's going on with someone, what's wrong with them, but they can't understand what they're feeling, especially if the person isn't of mental, capacity or awareness to express it. So and if someone's I'm talking out loud now, if somebody's mentally ill, like severely mentally ill, and they want to die, essentially, like, are they in the right frame of mind to make that decision? And that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know. But then who are we to say, no, you have to live this way and you're never going to be happy and you're never going to feel right and you're never going to be, be able to participate in your life the way that you want to. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's such a complex discussion and issue.
It is. Yeah. And that was one of the arguments too, that that doctor made was, how can someone decide to take their own life when they're out of their mind? I'm saying it very,
tongue in cheek. Yeah.
Yeah. Physically, I don't see a problem with euthanasia or MAID or whatever. It's the mental one that's a little more nuanced for me. Because one of the things for me, it's like that's part of my advocacy work is, trying to stop people from taking their lives. I'm a suicide attempt survivor. However, that was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Spontaneous. It was a real spontaneous decision. There was things I could have done before and stuff. But if I was like, I don't know, if I had really bad schizophrenia and I tried all the meds and I tried all the therapies and it still wasn't working, and then who am I to say? So as someone that's an advocate, I don't want to say go ahead and have this
but then,
bill. But
if someone is suffering from schizophrenia, how do you even know if the person you're talking to is it's just
yeah.
But then again, it's also it's like, if someone doesn't want to be here anymore and their quality of life and their quality of existence is causing them more pain emotionally, or they're causing themselves pain physically, who the hell are we to say, no, you have to stay here? And in fact, to stop you from maybe harming yourself, we're going to make things even more intense by locking you up in a place where you can't do that. And who are we doing it for at that point? Again, I'm playing devil's advocate, because if I were to answer this, I'd be like, I have no freaking idea. I have no idea what the right answer is. And I think it would have to be, on a case-by-case basis, which even then I'm like, who gets to make these decisions? I don't know.
Yeah, there are boards for each kind of hospital or zone or whatever that would make the decisions you would have to apply and all that stuff. So it is case by case, but still. And like, something I wonder is, like, would something like this then say there's a lot of ex-military coming back with extreme PTSD, or these people that are, these guys that then go into a public space and start doing, these big mass shootings. Would that help that or not help that? Or are these guys just assholes? Or, like, And like, it is so nuanced and there's so many things and layers. And it bothers me to think about it, because I want to know what the right answer is and I don't have any freaking clue.
Yeah. So
that's a fun little story.
I don't either. Wow. So that's a whole, we got nothing. I don't think our minds were changed. Something to think about, I guess.
I'll come back to it though, because in March there's going to be a decision in the government. So
what do you think is going to happen?
Oof. I have no idea. I really don't.
Is there
I
like a
guess
lot of public sentiment about this, or is it kind of going on to behind closed doors and to people who pay attention to this sort of thing?
it was behind closed doors until they said, "Yep, this is a thing," and then a big thing. The public got in their face, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, let's wait another year." So again, it's been quiet. So I think over the next month, there's going to be more.
You just kick the can down the road and hope there's worse shit going on in the world so that you can pass this stuff.
Maybe, yeah.
Can you tell I don't trust governments?
Left or right or center?
No, none of them.
Yeah.
From left to right, from right to left, from up to down, and everywhere in between.
And there's not many governments that are doing this. It's actually kind of a few Scandinavian countries, and that's about it. So,
that's interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that.
But anyway, I'm interested in what you got.
Yeah, I have. So, interestingly enough, I've got some good news and some bad news because you can't have it all. So my story today is, since yours was about Canada, I guess I'll go be about America. So some big news that kind of flew under the radar, at least under my radar, is that in the United States, and this is the headline before I get to it, Americans on Medicare now get better access to mental health care. And here's how. This is from NPR. And I did not get the author written down, so give me 1 second to pull this article up. I know what I want to talk about, but here's the thing that is so interesting about this. Well, it's very faceted. It's by Juana Summers, Avery Keatley, and Sarah Handel, and this is actually also an interview, just to reference that, with Victoria Kress is a professor at Youngstown State University and a professional counselor. So she's weighing in on this. So as of January 1st, which was what are we of a week or so ago now, January 1st, more than 65 million Americans who are on Medicare are going to get access to mental health coverage. So typically Medicare here, do you know what Medicare is?
Is that
once you hit 65 years old, it might be did they lower it? Biden talked about lowering it, but he talked about a lot of stuff and didn't do most of it. But the age is, I think it's 65. I'm going to check that real quick. Sorry. I don't want to get my facts wrong.
While you're checking that, I
65 or older.
I didn't give the article name of this. It's from CBC. Is Canada ready to expand medical assistance in dying? Liberals will face that choice with deadline closing in. And there was no author. I couldn't find the author. I don't know if it was just bits and pieces from past article. It was weird.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway.
It's probably just a collaborative piece,
I guess. So
yeah.
Anyway,
are you going to edit that into the beginning?
No, I think I'll leave it here. You were looking something up. So anyway,
yeah,
you were going to say.
So it is 65 years or older. What that basically means is once you hit 65 years old, you no longer have to participate in the private health insurance industry. You can go on Medicare, which is, despite what people think in this country, particularly on the right, and honestly, kind of the center left as well, Medicare is not government run healthcare. It's single payer healthcare. And the difference there is that instead of the government running the hospitals, paying the doctors, having them on government payroll, it's the government becomes the insurance companies and then negotiates with the medical hospitals and the doctors to determine what they will and will not pay for citizens over 65 years old. So basically, for most of your life, you pay into a Medicare tax, and then those funds are used to provide health care for those who are 65 years and older.
Gotcha.
So you can
socialism.
Socialism
No, I'm kidding.
at its core. It is a little. I mean, this is one of the real successful, I would say, despite what you and listen, when I say successful, I'm not saying they balance the budgets right. It's money well spent. It's money well spent on healthcare, but it's not managed properly, right. I would say.
Yeah. Right.
But Medicare is one of the most popular social programs in the country. Some people that are on Medicare buy supplemental insurance to do things that maybe they wouldn't be able to do, maybe to get some more preventative stuff that Medicare doesn't cover, or cover holistic or whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
But previously it did not really cover mental health services. So this is a big win, in my opinion, especially considering the increase, as we've discussed before, of mental health crisis in the world, especially following COVID-19. So I think overall, this is a win. Now, with all of these things comes, some nuance, right? And some bullshit that's going to come in there as well. So the cool thing is, and even Victoria Crest, the Youngstown professional counselor and professor, said the good thing about COVID was it shined a spotlight on mental health, which I think is good. And I think we can all probably agree that's true. Mm-hmm. But on Medicare, there's two real challenges or issues. One, the way Medicare works is that you have to set up reimbursement if you're going to be a mental health counselor. So what that means then is if you have a mental health counselor or a professional in the mental health field, they have to be willing to set up reimbursement for Medicare, meaning that they will chase down the government to get paid is essentially what it comes down to. So there's a challenge there. So offering access, but not having the support to provide the access is issue number one that I see. But then issue number two comes down to the stigma. And a lot of older folks who are on Medicare, probably, even if they do have mental health struggles, are more likely to ignore them, suppress them, not talk about it, be ashamed, be embarrassed. You know the whole drill. We still have this stigma going on. So imagine what it would be like for our grandparents, basically. So I think that this is a huge step in the right direction, but without adequate resources that are going to accept Medicare and that have expertise working with the elderly, which there's not as nearly as many counselors with expertise working with older adults, I think these are going to be two issues that really kind of come into play if you're going to offer it, but you're not going to support it in a sense by making sure there's active campaigns and active work being done to remove the stigma, especially from older adults. And then also, if you're not going to make sure that we make it incredibly easy and even financially beneficial for counselors to accept Medicare as an insurance program. So I don't know. Right. I know it's probably a little lot for you to, if you have questions about how it works, I can answer them. But just in general, to break it down, I guess, government saying, yes, older adults, you can now get mental health services using our Medicare insurance program. And then we don't have enough counselors for you. We in general, we don't have enough counselors that are skilled in your space. By the way, not all the ones that we do are going to accept Medicare. And then also, by the way, you don't want to talk about or acknowledge or understand that you may need mental health support. So it's kind of like those three areas where I'm like, okay, this is a step in the right direction, but there's still more work that needs to be done.
Right. But it's a beginning. It's the first step. Hopefully, I'm assuming that you were right in a lot of those concerns you have, and that there's going to be a lot of letters and things and frustrations. But government moves quickly, so I'm sure they'll take care of it real soon.
Thought for a second you were serious. Yeah, government moves super quick.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you got to start somewhere. That drives me nuts too. Even my local governments here, that's like they'll throw money at stuff and make a decision, and there's absolutely no groundwork done or anything. And it's like, here, everybody else, you figure it out, but here's the money for it. It's like,
yeah, it's like,
yeah. Did your what are they called? Did your consultants not tell you should be doing this or this or this before you throw the money at it? It's like, it's like,
right.
But it makes good headlines.
It does. And I think too, like I start, especially with our government in the US, I kind of start with they're lying to me or they're doing something nefarious behind this nice thing because we can't have nice things in America.
It's like, why are you giving us money for mental health? I don't trust this.
Right, because there's probably
It's a trap.
there's something worse going on that they're like, look at this shiny object of we're going to help the elderly with mental health. I guess so. Here, we can, instead of getting in the nuance of policy and stuff, like, I think it's interesting to think about mental health care as a human right, no matter your age. And my nephew is, he just turned 8 years old, right? God, yeah, 8. He just turned 8 years old a few days ago. And, he's been in therapy for probably a year, if not a little bit more now, due to some family stuff going on. It just makes me wonder, like, and I believe healthcare, so let me preface it. I believe healthcare and mental health care should be available to all at no cost or a cost that is suitable to what you can afford. Because I think that, if we're going to have a civilized, high functioning society, people need to be well physically and mentally, So I am a firm believer in Medicare for everybody, mental health care for everybody, health care for everybody. Now, I know you guys have those long wait lines with your socialized medicine up in Canada, but I'm just kidding.
It depends on the province.
Right. Yeah. That's what we hear here. But I just think everyone should have it. And I think helping the elderly who, they're at a stage in their life. When you hit Medicare age, you're 65 or older, you're at a stage in life where, you may live 10 years, you may live 20, you may live 40 years, but how your mind is going to be a huge contributing factor to that. And so why wouldn't we make all the resources available to the people who are at that stage in their life and trying to continue living their life and do it in a well kind of way?
Well, here's an idea. What if they put that medical assistance in dying together with the American
Medicare.
Medicare, and just everyone that hits 65, the government kills you.
That works too.
Then everyone's happy. It's all fair. So it's a little socialism, a little,
death cult,
capitalism,
and a lot. It's really just all capitalism with a little bit of socialism and a little bit of barbarism.
But boy, that would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, it would.
I think.
What's interesting though is I just think I think it's good that we're shining lights on mental health. I think it's very disappointing that we're like putting lipstick on a pig in some ways. And I feel like we don't always address the root causes. Right. And it's access. It's, of course, paying for it too, but that's part of access. Like anybody should have access to mental health care, and the amount of, crime, depression that leads to, self-harm or withdrawing towards the end of your life, in this case, I think is just really something that we should be thinking about.
Yeah. And I used to do a little more public speaking on this stuff. I don't remember the numbers, but a few years back, I did a bunch of research on governments that do invest a bunch of money into mental health. And it's actually, it's an investment. I mean, maybe you don't see it right away in that first quarter or that first year. Away. Yeah. And it's like, it's a huge money saver for governments if everyone's happy or has access to be able to be happy. Maybe not happy, but, content, or at least feel like they're validated and taken care of in a way. Yeah. And so, yeah.
Well, you're going to like my story for next time.
I can't wait.
It's about that. It is. It's interesting because I think that you're right, but it's not a Band-Aid. It's like an operation to do that, right? It's not going to heal in a few days if you take the mental health approach, but you're going to really, stop, I think, some crises from happening. A lot of violence in relationships, I think, would be, eliminated or sidestepped if people had crisis counseling instead of, sitting in their mind and their body and having all of the uncertainty and anxiety and anger and whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you say that, because the province I live in Canada, we have the highest rate of spousal violence. We have the highest rates of like DUIs. We have the highest rates of some of the highest rates of like overdoses and addictions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it all goes hand in hand. Like
it does.
Yeah. So
it totally does.
Yeah. It's frustrating. But yeah, people are shedding light on mental health more, which is great. It's just, so the stigma and, the public's view of mental health is like going like this, and the government is going like this.
Mm-hmm. That's what they do with everything. It's like,
you got to keep up with it a bit, but yeah, good article.
Cool. Yeah, yours too. Yours was mine's a little lighter, some good news maybe, but yeah, it was a great chat.
Yes, it was good seeing you again.
Yeah, how about that? It's like a weekly thing. So,
all right.
Cool. Well,
take care,
you guys.
Everybody.
Enjoy, and don't forget to like our channels and subscribe. And if you have ideas for articles, drop them in the comments or shoot us a DM. Our Instagrams are below in the show description, or at least in mine.
Probably mine too, because you wrote mine.
Yes. Exactly.
All right, buddy.
Cool.
We'll see you soon.
Signing off. This has been our mental health headline hot takes.
We're so glad you came.
Remember, when you heal yourself,
you heal the world.
Be sure to like this video, leave comments, and suggest articles for future episodes.
Hit subscribe to Eyes Wide Open
and Bunny Hugs and Mental Health.